Hello everyone, welcome back to VK7 Tech. So in today's video, we're going to build a super budget PC that still delivers very good performance for everyday use. So here I got the PC parts, like the processor. This is an Intel i3 4th gen CPU. I got it for 398 rupees, which is still a pretty decent chip for general usage. And this is esports 8GB DDR3 RAM stick, which costs around 1,700 now. Well, prices are high. You all know about the global RAM shortage crisis. But before, it used to be around 600 rupees per stick, guys. And this is consistent H81 motherboard for any Intel 4th gen CPUs with DDR3 dual channel support, also with an NVMe M.2 slot. And yes, this board also supports USB 3 ports, and there are a couple of more features. And this is a 400 watt PSU power supply. Also the CPU heatsink for this CPU board socket. And finally the CPU case. This is esports Elite mid-tower computer case gaming cabinet. And these are the main parts I got. Also there are the rest of the parts which are required, like the SSD for storage. I already have one. Still, the SSD hard drive prices have gone up like crazy, unfortunately. Both the RAM and storage devices cost pretty much high these days. But still, this video is going to be great value for you overall. Now we need to fix the motherboard and attach all the connectors to it. Now let's take out the heatsink. This is a Frontech heatsink with applied thermal paste. This costs around 200 rupees, only for LGA 775 and 1155 sockets. Now let's also take out the PSU. This is esports EQ, 400 watt power supply. We got a power cord. And here is our PSU, which provides more than enough power for this build. We also got screws in the user manual, the CPU and the RAM. I'll set them up during the board setup, and this is the H81 motherboard for 4th gen Intel CPUs. We got one SATA cable, the main motherboard, and a CD drive. And I have already done a separate video on this board as well. You can check that video. This comes with 2 RAM slots, supporting up to 16 gigabytes in dual channel. We also have a PCIe X16 slot for a dedicated GPU. Here is the main CPU socket, and here we have the NVMe M.2 slot. On the side we have the ports, 4 USB 2 ports, 2 USB 3 ports, HDMI port, and audio ports. Now let's also peel off this cover and take out the processor, and this is the cheapest of all, the i3 4th gen processor. We got the 4130 model because this is a random model sent by the seller on Amazon. I'll also show the i7 4th gen model later in this video.
1 hour later.
Right guys, so finally I attached all the components. It's perfectly working fine. You can also see the CPU case, which looks pretty amazing, with rainbow effect light fans. You can also see the H81 motherboard, based on the micro ATX form factor. Still, there's a lot of space inside this cabinet. So here we go. This is what it looks like. Amazing, right? If you're still low on a budget, you can get normal PC cases which don't have those RGB and other lighting effects. And for the storage hard drive, I used my existing 256 gigabyte EVM SSD, which right now costs around 4,000 rupees, but last year it was around 1,500 rupees. Now the prices have gone up a lot. Now let me show you the specs quickly. So here you can see the processor. The Intel Core i3-4130. It is a 2-core 4-thread CPU using up to 54 watt TDP, still a pretty good chip for day-to-day tasks and light gaming, paired with 8 gigabytes RAM. It also comes with Intel HD4400 integrated graphics. And if we bench this CPU, we are still getting normal scores. As I mentioned, this is mainly for day-to-day tasks, browsing, office work, coding, and watching movies, but not in 4K, and the GPU here is integrated as I mentioned. This is good for some light older DirectX titles. I already tested games on this GPU like GTA 5 and some other DirectX 10 or lower titles. You can also check that video as well. But don't expect modern titles. Even if you use this CPU with a dedicated GPU, it can create a bottleneck, and it's not ideal for modern gaming. Now currently, this PC is installed with Windows 11. Yes, it works by bypassing some requirements. Well, I'll soon do a separate video on how to bypass the unsupported requirements of Windows 11. Or if you are comfortable with Windows 10, you can normally use that as well. But if you want to extend the performance and run more multitasking apps, you will need a better processor. So this one right here is the Intel i7 4th generation processor. Again, I got this CPU model randomly from the seller on Amazon. If you're lucky, you might get a slightly higher clock speed variant, and this one costs around 3,000 rupees. Let's peel off the cover, and here we go. And I got the Core i7 4770Te processor. You can also see the date. Remember, these are not brand new. These are refurbished old but still usable chips. Still, it looks perfectly fine and clean. Now let's remove the CPU case and take off the heatsink. This is the upgrade process. Now we are upgrading this from the 4th gen i3 to this i7. Now I'll take off this chip. This is the i3-4130. Now let's replace it with the new i7 CPU. So here I'll apply the thermal paste and put it into the socket. Here I also added an additional 8GB RAM stick, making it 16GB total, running in dual channel mode, which is better for multitasking and overall system stability. Now let's check whether it's working or not. Also make a note that it's a bit risky because there is no return policy on Amazon, especially when you're spending more money. The i3 costs around 400 rupees and this i7 costs around 3,000 rupees. And alright, the PC has started and alright, it's booting. For the first time, you will see these loading dots because after upgrading the CPU, the system will reassign the new core values into the BIOS. Since we upgraded the CPU and also added RAM, it takes a moment. So don't panic here. And there we go. Let's check out CPU-Z. And you can see the processor here, the i7 4th Gen 4770Te, which is powerful and efficient for most tasks. It is based on a 4-core and 8-thread CPU. Even though this is an old chip, it's still somewhat equivalent to today's low-end i3 12th or 13th Gen CPU models in terms of performance. So it's still acceptable for budget-conscious entry-level 1080p gaming, particularly for esports titles, especially if you add a dedicated graphics card. Alright, so it shows 16GB DDR3 RAM running in dual-channel mode in the slots. It also comes with Intel integrated graphics, almost the same HD 4400 that I showed you in the beginning. And if we run the benchmark, it's pushing a pretty decent score for a budget PC like this. And yes, you can do heavier general tasks and it performs better compared to i3 and i5 models from the same generation. And also, if you add a good GPU like a GTX 1650 on a budget, it can still provide good gaming performance even with some modern titles. So overall, that's the budget PC build with the Intel i3 and i7 4th gen processors. For the price, the performance is actually very good for everyday tasks and even some gaming with a dedicated GPU if you extend some more. Overall, this build still offers great value for the budget. If you found this video useful, make sure to like, share and subscribe to our channel for more. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.